Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Homefront Harmony, the podcast that specializes in providing military families with the mental health, financial, and well-being resources that they need. We're so excited to have you join us today. We've got a great episode coming up. You know, I'm always so pleased when I get to have someone who served our country talking on the episode. And today we have Omar. How are you, my friend?
I am great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate it.
Of course, an honor.
So if you could, for us, just let our audience know a little bit about you and your service that you did towards our country.
All right. Hey, guys, my name is Omar Foster. I am born and raised here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Went to Las Vegas Academy as a theater major. And then right after high school, I joined the Air Force. Left in 2002, did basic training in San Antonio, did some training in northern Texas before getting stationed at Herbert Field in Florida, which was a special ops base. I was a fuels troop, so POL, did some aircraft refueling.
POL?
Yep.
What does POL stand for?
Like petroleum oil lubricants.
Okay. Some people don't know.
Yeah, some people don't know. You're right.
It's
a good question. There's so many acronyms in the military. I've been out for a while. I just assume that everyone knows. But at Herbert Field, it was a special ops base, so it was a cool base to be at because there's a lot of physical training, a lot of like TAC-P, special ops kind of guys training there. So when I got stationed there, it wasn't like Vegas because the city and the town was very like slow, very country, very slow pace. So it took me some time to get used to it.
I bet.
But at about 3 or 4 years in, I started to enjoy just being near the beach and being near a slow paced town.
You can't hate being near the beach, people.
Yeah, for sure. Was deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan.
Okay.
Did 6 to 8 month tours at each base.
Okay.
And got a remote duty to Korea.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so spent a year stationed in Korea at, drawing a blank on the name of the base, Osan Air Base.
Okay.
In Itaewon. It's about an hour south of Seoul, Korea.
Okay.
Had an absolute blast there before getting my follow-on, which is back here at Nellis. So I finished my last year at Nellis, in which I spent the whole year doing honor guard. So I was on the base honor guard for Nellis, and I really, really enjoyed my time on honor guard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What a privilege.
Yeah, so that's my military service and background there. And then when I got out in 2010, got right into health and fitness and started my boot camp called at the time Camp Fit Force, which is now CrossFit Social City.
Gotcha.
So this is year 15 for us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Now, when you were over in Iraq, Afghanistan area, were you actually in combat?
Not like combat front lines, but we were supporting the mission when we were there during Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't understand that there's varied levels of when you're going to be near a combat zone, whether you are actually in that combat area or you're supporting in a different line.
Yeah.
Either way, it affects you.
Yeah.
You know, no matter where you are, it does affect you. And some people get hit stronger than others.
Totally.
For that, I've always touted, I'm amazed. My father did 2 tours in Vietnam, a year each time. And he's one of the ones who came back and he didn't have the issues a lot of people deal with mentally on that. So it's a big topic for me to discuss with people, the mental health.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
And what I love is because you went the fitness route. Because like for me, doing the treadmill, it helps me de-stress. It lets me get clarity. It's the way it works for me. And I know that helps a lot of people. Sometimes the fitness aspect is a way to help them with their mental health as well. So I'm just going to kind of pull you in, my friend. You're coming a lot of ways.
Let's do it.
So if you don't mind, could you let us know how serving in near those areas of combat and everything did affect you, how your military service did affect you?
You nailed it by saying like there's different levels to being deployed. And I mean, and at that time, being Afghanistan, we're still like in a hostile environment, although like you're not in the front lines, there are still mortars being fired onto the base. They still hit relatively close to a lot of our buildings.
Yeah.
And when they hit, I mean, shrapnel goes everywhere. And if you get hit by specks of shrapnel wherever, like it could cause a lot of harm and a lot of trauma, even if you don't get hit. Just like the sounds kind of wore on me years after I got out. You know, because when you're in the silo of it and it's all you know because everyone around you is in the same thing. But I would say probably 10 years after I got out is when I kind of realized like, man, maybe I do have a little PTSD because when I hear certain sounds of planes that fly over us that resemble the sounds of mortars, like I tense up, I freeze up and, you know, like I kind of get like frozen in a sense. And then once I had kids, like I think that kind of amplified because I'm not only watching out for myself and I'm kind of like ready to protect them just in case anything happens.
Yeah.
And it could just be like random sounds of fireworks or something like that kind of like trigger off. And until I went and saw a specialist about it, she kind of pulled that out of me to let me know like, yeah, that's a sign of PTSD that definitely came from being deployed.
Yeah, I think we tend to tunnel vision on a lot of areas, and PTSD is one of them. There's not a guaranteed way it's going to affect you or you're going to react to it. So I tell people constantly, the reach out is okay. If you're unsure, the reach out is okay. And if you're not comfortable going to a therapist, then you reach out to me, and I'll find someone for you to talk to. The whole military community is so united in supporting each other. I absolutely love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't serve because my dad did, I'm automatically melded into that world as your children will be as well. So, and I know that that's a big conversation that comes up. I love that you brought up the sounds and the triggers because a lot of people don't realize, like at 4th of July and New Year's. Now, number one, my husband and I are always saying, make sure your animals are inside. Those poor babies. We had 2 Jack Russells, and my Anna had to go out on New Year's, and she was pretty deaf, and she was peeing in the yard, and a firework went off right above the house, and she literally stopped, turned, and looked at me and just started shaking.
Yeah,
But
poor little littles.
the people don't realize it affects people with PTSD
True.
to hear those fireworks going off and hitting in different ways. Some people are just kind of like, I don't like it. Some people, it terrifies them, you know? So I love that you're open to that conversation.
Yeah, and I think like based on appearance, if someone's looking at me, they wouldn't assume like, oh, this guy is dealing with or has dealt with all the issues that PTSD looks like from the outside.
Yeah.
Or anxiety or depression or hypervigilance or, you know, the list goes on, you know, being exposed to harsh chemicals, being exposed to loud sounds, being away from your family and friends for an extended period of time at a young age. Like it's okay because it's all you know. But once you get out, these things start to catch up to you like year after year, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 40 now. When I was deployed, I was a young 22, 23-year-old, you know, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like nothing's wrong with me. And then 10 years later, I'm 35 and I'm like, what's going on? Like maybe I do have OCD. It's not just like a cliche thing to say like, oh, you have OCD. It's like, no, I can't function if that plant is out of place. Like it has to be right there in the spot. Otherwise, like I can't focus.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. No, and it's a very real valid point on that. And it is something that cracks me up because I watch people try to talk about something that they don't necessarily understand and grow and justify where, oh, it's just OCD versus don't do that to yourself. Don't do it's okay.
Yeah.
You're not a bad person if you're dealing with PTSD.
It's just
you know?
something. Yeah,
it's just something you deal with. It's my dad never sat with his back to a door. Just something he ever did after Vietnam. Just never sat with.
I'm like, if my wife is watching this, they know when we go out to eat, like all the kids know, like dad has to sit facing the door. Just
every
time.
Like
hypervigilant
just don't
thing.
even go. And I picked up the habit myself. And it's funny because my husband kind of does the same thing. So
I know you fought me for that seat. And I was like, wait a second.
That's how it works. It's the headset of it, the way it goes for you that works and balances your energy and where you are. Now, what led you from the service world into the boot camp arena itself?
Service were like military into civilian life? I would say in the beginning of my career, like when I was stationed at Herbert Field, I got to just be a worker. Like at that time, I just love just the grind and getting out and supporting the mission. And then there's a certain point where you can put in the work to score 100% on your PT scores. You can put in the work to like get A's on your tests and then progress due to the work you put in. But at a certain level, when you become an NCO and you're just supervising troops, it's just like a time in service, time in grade. It's a waiting game until you make the next rank, but you still do the same amount of work, if not more work. So once I got to the point of being a supervisor, I started to kind of lose a passion for it because it became a lot of like paper pushing and writing EPRs and bullet points and babysitting grown men, sometimes those who are older than me. And I'm just like, I shouldn't be responsible for what they do outside of work.
Right.
So then I always kind of had an entrepreneurial mind and wanted to run my own business.
Okay.
I can't remember if there was a stepping stone that would have changed my mind. I think if I would have gotten to like a job that was special ops or something that was challenging mentally and physically, I potentially would have stayed in.
Okay.
But again, like being a supervisor, I was like, this isn't for me. I'm ready to get out and do my own thing.
Okay, gotcha. And then you went fitness route because it was just something you
I went
liked?
fitness route. I had a terrible motorcycle accident in 2006. I used to drag race motorcycles, and I crashed on the drag strip going about 150, 155 miles an hour. Yeah,
Good night.
broken from head to toe. I had broken wrist, broken hip, ruptured spleen, fractured vertebrae. I mean, had to be life flighted from the drag strip to the hospital. This happened on a Friday night, and I woke up on a Monday. And I was just like, what happened? My arm was in a sling. My leg was in a sling. There were staples down my stomach. And my friends and family were like, dude, like you almost died. Spent a month in the hospital, just kind of recovering to just get up and be able to walk on my own.
It's like a Lifetime movie, people.
Yeah.
Jesus, okay.
I mean, I weighed like 170 going in and lost probably about 40 to 50 pounds, just skin and bones. And doctors told me I'd never walk unassisted again.
Oh, man.
And I was just like, wow, like this is my story.
Yeah.
And then got into physical therapy and they're like, hey, you can do the minimum of 3 days or max it out at 5 or 6. And I was like, dude, max me out. I want to bounce back. There's no way I'm not going to be able to be as physically active as I once was. So got into physical therapy and realized just how magnificent the body is and what it's capable of. And I think if I would have just lived in the mindset of listening to what the doctors had told me at the time, that I probably could have been stuck in either a wheelchair or using a walker for my entire life. But I was ready to face that battle on my own and just learn if I was capable of bouncing back. So about 4 months after taking PT, I kicked my walker and I just started kind of like hobbling around on my own without it. And that was like a light bulb went off of like, I can do this and I can do it as long as I put in the work. And at about the 7th or 8th month mark, I started jogging again. And doctors were just like, what an anomaly. Yeah. Like this is a miraculous story. We've never seen anything like it. And that's what kind of got me on my physical fitness journey. Yeah, once I bounced back to where I was like, yeah, I think I've got more in the tank. And then just kept fighting and striving to be a better version of myself.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that the mind over matter scenario of the situation. The way that my dad was always a very positive thoughts, positive actions kind of thing. But it's true. You can accomplish some things you probably don't think you can, just if you have the determination in your head to do it. And you're obviously a fighter. So good on you, my friend.
Yeah. And I mean, like that story does sound crazy, but I don't feel like it's a rare story. I feel like people are often told that. Yeah. Often told like, hey, like don't do this anymore. If you injure your back or you have some issues going like, don't stop running, stop squatting, stop working out. We're going to give you these prescription medications and take these. And then it just goes all downhill from there. And you're like, people end up living a super sedentary lifestyle and depression sets in. And like, it seems like it happens overnight where you're like, how did I end up here? Yeah. And it's just a slow drip over time that gets you to that place.
Oh, absolutely. But I love that you have now evolved this from, hey, I like my mindset that got me through this and I'm walking and I'm doing into an actual full business for others that's grown. Yeah. I mean, it, started off little like we all do, but it's continued to grow and be successful. And I think that's wonderful. We had Justin from Breakfast Brigade on an episode. And one of the things he was talking about with the mental health was he said that, are you doing fitness because it's just what you've always done? Or are you doing it because it provides you that clarity, that stress-free, that mental health, that moment away from the world? I thought that was a really poignant question to ask, because I think sometimes people get focused into what the fitness is for, and it's so much more than just looking good in a swimsuit.
100%. Yeah. It's evolved. I mean, I think for most people, physical fitness has evolved and it's shifted over more probably 60-40 into mental fitness and mental health. You know what I mean? Yeah. And what it's done for me over the past couple of years is just like grow my self-worth, grow my confidence, just allow me to just like escape what's going on in the outside world and just be in my own thoughts and making sure I'm on the right path. Like it's a time where I get to just express gratitude for the body that God gave me and for the healing that he's done on my body. It's just, I started a running journey almost a year ago now where, again, like coming from the accident and being told I never walk again. Yeah. I lived in this mindset of like, I won't be able to do long distance running because of my knees and my hips and my injuries. Okay. But the thing was, I never did anything about it. I just lived in that, and I just sat in that chair.
Okay.
And one day I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start running every day.
Okay.
At least a mile a day.
Okay.
And today will be like day 276 or something like that.
Okay.
Of just running every day. And what I didn't realize from me starting that journey, that like my family and my kids will follow along with that.
Yeah.
So now it didn't just affect me, but I have like a family and little kids who love to just go on runs, and it's important for them to exercise, and I'm able to teach them the importance of using their body, their gifts that they were given, you know?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. One of the biggest conversations I have is a lot of times people forget about the rest of the military family, the spouse and the kids.
Yeah.
It wears and tears on you too. I knew at a very young age when my dad left the house, he might not come back. That was a sacrifice he was willing to make for something he believed in. It's different to how my friends grew up. And it wasn't, oh gosh, it was just, okay, this is what my dad's job is. This is what he does. And then as you get older, you go, that was a little rough, you know, kind of thing. It's like you said with the PTSD, it takes some time. So I love that the family's involved in the workout and finding a way to help them too with that clarity, with that. And then it just helps unite your family that much closer
It really
together,
does. Yeah.
You know?
You just get that quality time with them.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I think my son asked me to go for a run with me.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, no, like I'm in my own little pace. I'm in my zone. It takes me 10 and a half minutes. Like no big deal. It's probably going to take me 16 or 17 minutes if you come with me. And then I took a step back and go, wow, no, this is an opportunity that I get to spin with you. Like, I'm not going to let this go to waste.
Right.
And then after I did it the first time, it was just like, wow, the bonding that we got. Like, and we always run outdoors. So to be outside and sunshine and nature. And again, it's just like, it comes full circle when you just get to do it out of gratitude and you're grateful you get to do it. It's not a task.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
not a chore.
It's not a chore. It's like, man, I get to do this. I was once told I wouldn't be able to walk unassisted. Like, this is such a privilege and honor to be able to go out and use my body for what it's capable of.
Oh, absolutely. Now, okay, so 2 questions. 1, how old is your son?
My son is 7. Little
Ooh,
Uriah.
little Uriah. And 2, how long did the run take?
That first run took 17 plus minutes. There was a little bit of whining going on and legs being tired, but that's just part of it, you know?
Yeah, you got to build up your strength.
Yeah, there's lessons to be learned in that, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now when they run with me, my little girl's 4, little Selah. And she'll want to go on a run, and like the first 100 or 200 meters is like whining, and my legs are sore, and it's just like, I don't want this to be a task for you.
Right.
You can just talk to me. Like, if your legs are tired, what we started off with her was we would run to one light pole and walk to the next light pole, and run and walk, and she would tag it to know when it was time to walk and time to run. But I don't want it to be a chore for them either.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, just talk to me. Let me know. You can say, hey, Dad, I'm tired. Can we walk? And I don't mind if we walk a mile. That's fine. We're still doing the thing, and we're still showing up for ourselves. And I think it's so important this day and age for people to show up for themselves.
Yes.
And I feel like we give so much of ourselves to our work and our job, and especially moms with families. Like, as soon as they become a mom, it's you put yourself on the back burner, and it's everything for your family and your kids. So just the importance of showing up for yourself and getting, for me, I like to get 3 wins in. For me, it's a spiritual win, it's a physical win, and a creative win every day. And that's what just gives me momentum to just carry on throughout my business, as a husband in my personal life, as a father, as a leader. Yeah, it really keeps the ball rolling for me.
Absolutely. And I love, for me, you have to find the joy. And mental health wise, whatever you're doing, whether it's fitness or crafts or whatever helps you with your mental health, find the joy in it. Don't make it a chore, because maybe you're doing a certain fitness thing and that's not bringing you joy, but you'd really be interested in trying this. So you try this. I've seen different people online where like they decided to start jump roping. And they show pictures of before and after, and they're all fit now. And it was just because they decided, I want to learn to jump rope. And now they do routines to songs and everything. And it's like, wow, you know, you don't know what's going to trigger in you. That's like, you know what? I just want to see what that's like and see if that's fun.
I love that. Yeah. If there's something that's engaging or intriguing to you, it's like, I want to give that a shot.
Yeah.
You should try it. Like, at least try it so you can speak from experience. Because I think, you know, we live in this world where everyone has different opinions, and it's like you can believe the exact opposite of what I believe to be 1000% true, and that should be okay. But it's better for you to like speak from experience, like of, hey, yeah, I tried this, it was for me or it wasn't.
Right.
And like, who am I to judge your experience on
Absolutely.
that, you know? Yeah. Again, it's like the thing with running for me. It was like, man, running a half marathon or a marathon sounded impossible. It was like I could never. And then again, like I said, I never did anything about it. So once I got about 80 to 100 days of running in, I was like, I think I want to run a marathon. So that running journey started in March or April, and then in November I ran my first marathon, the Las Vegas Marathon here, that started up in Red Rock Canyon and finished all the way downtown.
Well, congratulations on your first marathon.
Thank you.
How long? How many miles was that?
26.2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stevie does not find joy in running marathon.
I'm not
she does
gonna lie.
2 miles on her treadmill, people. Okay, that's what she does. That's it.
When you're doing it, I don't know if joy, it's not the word I would say at some points in time, but it's the feeling afterwards of the accomplishment, you know what I mean? And doing something hard that you didn't think you could do that moves the needle forward. Sometimes
pushing ourselves is a good thing.
Yes.
There's a fine line of when we can push too hard, but sometimes it's good to go a little bit out of that comfort space, just a little bit to see where you can grow and what you can do from
see
there.
Where your potential is.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing is we are our own worst critic.
100%.
And we can stop ourselves before anybody else can stop us from doing anything. And it's why we have the unity in the community and the feeling to help us with the mental health, so that we have that. And if you don't have a community, if you don't have unity, if you need people to talk to, again, reach out to us. Let us connect you. The whole point of this is connecting everybody. We want people to know that they are not alone, that there are resources, that there are help, there is things to help them. I've watched programs build up now that we never had when my parents, when my dad was in service. We didn't have Military One Source. We didn't have Blue Star families like we do now. And they have so many things they offer and they build with. And so not everybody knows those are out there.
Yeah, I agree. Like even when I got in the military, I didn't know the resources that were out there. I didn't know like there were people out there who work with like VA disability, who can show you the ropes and routes and ways to make appointments so that you can get compensation for what you deserve. Yeah. Let alone there being resources to help you with mental health and stuff. Like, I mean, to be honest, like I still don't know even the programs you just named off, but I have friends who are veterans who are struggling, just like I struggle. But like I have gym community, I have obviously family and friends, but like I think if you isolate yourself and there's men who just stay indoors by themselves all the time because they feel like they're alone and they're suffering, that I would love to help promote the communities that you mentioned so that these guys know that they have people out there who are willing to help, who have been in the same struggles and fight that they've been through.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And what I love about them is they're for the entire family.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's not just service member, and it's not like Blue Star families will help if a service member is deployed and the family needs help that's back home. And I love that because sometimes we forget the dance and we don't understand how it plays and how it does. And it really is unity, and it really does help show that love for people to see and know they're there. I think that for especially veterans or those transitioning out of service, the mentorship of those who've been through it before them is huge.
Yes.
Individuals such as you, as Justin that we had on, as many others we've had as well, Uniting, B. Taylor has his One Life organization, and he's a veteran as well. But it helps to have someone who understands a little bit of what you're talking about. And maybe they didn't have the exact same situation.
Yeah.
But they can
still
align
relate
where you are and help you out, and let you have someone to talk to.
I love what you just said. I'm so glad that you invited me onto the show because this is a side that I don't usually talk about, the veteran side of me or the prior military service and transitioning from military to civilian life. It is a difficult thing because you're living in this identity for so long of being, whatever rank you are. For me, it's Staff Sergeant. It was Staff Sergeant Foster. That's who I was known as. And it was hard for me to be myself at work because, again, like I went to performing arts high school, so I was very like outgoing and outspoken. But in the military, if you ever met me, you'd be like, oh, that's Omar. He's very serious and everything is very tunnel vision. And you have to be within your realms of being a supervisor. And then when I would get off work, you'd be like, oh man, like Sergeant Foster parties pretty hard. And it's like, oh, that's just who I am normally. So to transition from that military identity, you can get lost trying to find the new version of yourself. Like, who am I now that I'm not Staff Sergeant Foster? It's like, oh, now I'm Coach Omar. And people come into my gym in my home where I can 100% be myself.
Yeah.
And all of my members and family and friends love me for me. I don't have to put on this facade, or I don't have to put on the camo uniform and be so strict. It's like, man, I'm grateful to be alive every day I wake up. Like, I love life, and I love that you guys come in my doors to be a better version of yourself, and whatever I can do to put you on a good path and support you, that's what I'm here for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I will say it was funny when my dad would put on his uniform and the sunglasses would go on and the hat would come down. And if there was a teacher at school, my sister or I were having an issue with or whatever, and he would show up and they'd be like, oh, no, it's him. And we're like, oh, no, mom's the one you need to. He'll be cool and be like Mr. Military Man and make you piddle yourself. But, she might hurt you. So.
She might put a hurt on you.
She's strong. Come from a strong woman. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, so when he puts on his hat and his glasses, it's very like, yep, that's it.
Oh, no.
Like, even my wife, she'll get sometimes upset. Like, PDA and stuff is still kind of hard for me, She's very physical touch. That's one of her love languages,
Yes.
And I'm kind of like, I'm at work.
Yeah.
I'm at work. Oh, I can't be kissing and hugging. It's like, what am I doing? Like, it's okay. But it's like, if that's what that's what was instilled in you for me, I was in for 8-9 years. It's like, how do you remove that? It's a hard thing to untrain and unlearn.
I will say, one of the coolest things being raised by the parents I was raised by is that they were uninhibited with their affection for each other. We knew our parents loved each other. We had no doubt that they cared about each other. They didn't mind giving, kissing in front of us or holding hands. Or my dad would sing to my mom little love songs and stuff. And it was just really, really cool to grow up with that environment. And then when I met my husband, which took a long time, he took a bit to find, and we got together. I'm a very physically affectionate person. And he was a little like, oh, okay, this is how we do things. Okay. Because he wasn't used to someone being it that way, but it was how I was raised. You show it, you physically show your love. And it's the simplest things. It's
so simple.
Little advice. Okay. So one of my favorite things my husband does is when we're walking somewhere and he's trying to get me in front of him so he can be protective of me. So he puts his hand on the small of my back and guides me. He doesn't even have to actually touch the small of my back, but it's just something. And I'm like, oh, all right. Cool.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that I think I want to make sure that people talk about and understand. And maybe your family, your relationship isn't a huge PDA relationship, but there are little things that you guys have that are yours, that are a part of it. And embrace those, take them and run with them.
They're such small little things.
They are.
Yeah, it's like the whole walking down the sidewalk near a road. It's like, yep, I'm on the outside, the wife's on the inside, the kids are on the inside. Whenever we're walking with the kids, I mean, like, my hands are out. So like, hey, grab my hands when we're walking. And it's like, I didn't grow up with that. My wife, again, she's the physical touch. So our kids are very physical touch and very affectionate. And I love that. And I'm like, I embrace it. I'm like, man, I didn't grow up with this, but I want them to have this. And I want them to know, like, that version and that side of love,
Oh, yeah.
It can be so small, but
100%.
go so far.
And it helps when you're able to communicate in your relationship how you communicate with others. If you are able to communicate in your relationship well, it's going to help spread out in how you deal with others as well, too, because we close ourselves off as a protective nature.
So true.
And it's terrifying. But don't close yourself off. It's worse when you do. We got you. We got you. Come here. So now, when you started doing the boot camp, because you didn't go right into the CrossFit gym.
Correct.
You started smaller and started to grow it.
Yep.
So how did that evolve for you from where you are now, from them to here? Like what did it, for you, what was the path you took?
Yeah, I mean, again, started small. That was just kind of the key for me. So I, unemployed after the Air Force and had whatever little savings I had. I mean, I think I spent $800 out of the last $1,000 I had in my savings on like a physical training certification.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, here's the risk. This is what we're going to do.
There you go.
Got certified and then applied at 24 Hour Fitness as a trainer there. So I kind of started training at 24 Hour Fitness and started a boot camp at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So I reached out to a friend of mine, Brandon Collinsworth, and I was like, dude, let's do this boot camp. And he's like, cool, let's do it. We'll do it at the park Sunday at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
We'll charge, I don't know what we charge, $10 a person to start. So I'm here just texting people that I went to high school with. I mean, people I hadn't talked to or heard from in 10 years. I was like, hey, I'm back in Vegas. I'm starting this boot camp. Would love for you to come out. Long story short, I mean, that first day we had like 24 people show up.
Well, that's awesome.
So for us, we're like, dude, 24 people, like that's $240 an hour. Like that's not bad in 2010. It's like I would imagine making, and we split that like even $110 for an hour. Like that sounded like a lot back then, you know? So we were just charging $10 for people to show up as a drop-in to the boot camps on Sundays. And at about 3 months in, like we just created a following where people wanted to come out and more people were coming and they wanted more days. And they're like, hey, can you guys do like an extra day or two? And so we're like, cool, like let's do Sunday and Thursday. So we started doing Thursday 3 months later. And then at the 6th or 7th month mark, we started doing Sunday through Thursday. So we had Sunday 9 a.m. and Monday through Thursday night at 6:30 p.m.
Wow.
And next you know, we had this thing going on. We had Camp Fit Force was available for people to attend 5 days a week. And then at the year mark, there was one of our members ran a Pilates studio. And she's like, hey, there's a jiu-jitsu gym next to us. These guys, we're going to kick them out because they're not nice. Would you like to come check out the space? And I was like, at that time, all I really needed was a space to train because 24 Hour Fitness it's a good entry and a good stepping stone to learn and to get credentials and stuff like that. But the pay is garbage, you know. I mean, if you're paying $70 a session, it's like 60 of that is going to the company and 10 of that is going to the trainer. So it's like, man, if I could charge half that and just have my own space, it would be so worth it. So checked out the studio. It was like a dance studio. It was wood floors with mirrors all around it. And she didn't know how I was going to react. And we were like, this is perfect. We just need a room. That's it. So we moved into our first space a year after being in the boot camps.
Awesome.
And then from there, we just continued to progress and roll the ball forward. Yeah, moving to our second studio, or not second studio, but we moved locations 2 years after being in that. And then 2 years after being in the second location, we've been in our current location for 10 years now, since 2015.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's
Yep.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have quite a few veterans that participate in your gym?
We have like 2 or 3 veterans, yeah,
Okay.
and then we have 2 or 3 active duty guys. We got
Nice.
One of our guys, Ethan, is getting deployed next week, and it was so cool. I was coaching the class, and he came in his major flight suit, you know, and like my military mind, when an officer walks in, it's like the room stands by and everyone stands up, you know, and he got a kick out of that because no one knows but me like what that is. But he came to just say farewell because he's going to be gone for 6 months, and I was just thinking like, wow, if I was still in and I had to leave my family for 6 months right now, it would be incredibly hard. Yeah. I mean, but not that it's easier for him, but I mean, he doesn't have family or kids, but it's still hard to like leave a girlfriend or significant other behind.
Yeah.
But just for me, when he walked out the door, I was like, I could not imagine what that's like to leave a whole family behind.
Major Ethan, thank you for your service, my friend. You stay safe.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
We are praying for you, thinking for you, everything we can do for you, my friend. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Yeah. And for whomever is back here waiting for you, we're thinking of them too, because everybody counts.
Yeah. So again, like I said, like as I was in, it was like it was the culture. So everyone around me did the same thing. So I didn't have a big appreciation for being military when you're in.
Okay.
You know? And then as I did honor guard as my last year, that's when like civilians kind of show appreciation for your work, and they express gratitude of like, thank you so much for doing this service for my husband who passed away. Thank you guys so much for handing over the flag to our children, to our child, or who the significant other down the line. If I could have done honor guard for another 10 years, like I probably would have stayed in.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I got out and it's not the case. But just to have that level of appreciation goes such a long way.
I can tell you that. So when we lost my father, it was in late 2021. And so we had a service for him, and the honor guard came in and did the playing of taps and the whole thing with the flag. But we weren't able to inter his ashes He's out at the Boulder City Veterans.
Yeah.
And we had to wait like a month before we were able to do that because of with COVID and everything. And so the VFW sent out 3 Navy veterans, and they did his gun salute because we couldn't get the gun salute done, and the Navy won't do 2 honors. And that was the one part where I lost control. I still don't know how that noise came out of me. And my husband grabbed me really, really fast. Other than that, I was able to maintain, be strong and do stuff. But the shooting, for some reason, that was just like the final reality of it, you know?
It gets me every time now.
Oh, yeah.
And now that I'm a father with kids, I have such pride in it. Like every Veterans Day, we're out there. We're out at Boulder City. We do the services. I want them to know and interact with veterans and see them face to face and know that like these guys, and some of them are true veterans, and some of them maybe like me, like they didn't fight on the front lines, but they still sacrificed their time. And
you serve.
And you serve, yeah. So
we have that really discussion all the time. It kills me when people are like, I didn't go into combat, or I was just a reservist, or I was just like downgrading. You served.
Yep.
Thank you for your service.
Yep.
You served. It counts for the love of God. Quit downgrading what you did. You stepped up.
Yeah. We went through this phase of I showed them taps on a YouTube video.
Oh yeah.
And we went like 6 months every night of like, Dad, can you play taps? And they just watch and play taps every single night. I'm like, wow, like they love this so much. So Memorial Day, Veterans Day comes around. We're usually out at Boulder City or at one of the parks that's doing some sort of service or honoring those military
I love that. I love that you did the Honor Guard. What a privilege to serve on that. If you do not understand Honor Guard or what happens, there is a phenomenal, it was a TV movie, I believe, with Kevin Bacon called Taking Chance. And it is a story that was actually written by a service member who was the one who escorted his body back for the funeral with his family, and all the detail of everything that they went through to make sure he was properly honored. And it gets you. And, you know, it's truly just so amazing that you had the opportunity to do that, to give back that level in that way.
Yes.
It's
an absolute honor,
yeah,
man. I loved that job. And it wasn't all military, it wasn't all funeral services.
Right.
It was like we would present colors at concerts and music events and things going on downtown on the Strip, and it was cool just to present colors as they do Star Spangled Banner. Now every time Star Spangled Banner goes for me, it's like, oh, dude, can I make it without crying? Like,
I know,
who am
right?
I now? I turned 40 and turned super soft. I just get emotional and all these things. It gets me every time. But I love it. I love it.
I'm telling you, the older I get, the more emotional I get.
Yeah.
I always joke I hate emotions. And because I was a tomboy when I was younger. I tended to just handle stuff and do things. And then as I get older, and now being female and going through changes, it's fun to see what stuff now makes me. Like, my sister is the most beautifully, emotionally open woman you'll ever meet in your life. And she would watch the Folgers commercial where Peter made the coffee, and it made her cry. And I kept thinking, what's the big deal? And probably if I watched that now, I'd be like, well, he made them all coffee. Beautiful. Yeah. But I think it's just all part of us growing.
Yeah, totally.
As we go on, and you're never going to stay the same constantly all the time. Evolving is a good thing.
You should be evolving.
Yeah.
You should be shifting into new identities, discovering yourself. And I would say, I think for boys, especially like in my generation, it's just a harder transition like through life. Like you grew up as a boy with usually our fathers were suck it up, don't cry, get up off the ground, you know, get your act together, like bury your emotions, don't show it. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. But deep down inside, you're just broken. And then to go from that right into the military of like, you know, as soon as you go to boot camp and basic training, it's like they wipe everyone to zero.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, and you're afraid of certain ranks, and it's like, oh man, I don't know if can I talk? Can I be myself? So I think once you kind of maybe potentially get out of that or grow a little bit older, where you learn it's okay to be vulnerable, and you learn that there's freedom in your vulnerability and not suppressing your emotions, and that you sharing your story to others can be so impactful or influential to let them overcome their obstacles or let go of that weight that's just on your chest and shoulders.
Right.
I think like men underestimate what it's like just to conversate, like whether it's, I mean, this is the first time I'm meeting you.
Yeah.
But this conversation feels so great because it's a way to just release some of the weight that's been on my shoulders throughout my military service into civilian life. It's like, it feels great.
That's awesome. I'm glad it does.
Yeah.
See, we feel great here at Homefront Harmony.
We feel great.
But no, it is very true. You have different personalities of how you grow up anyway. And then everybody has different parentage. And some people, the military service actually gives them some grounding they needed. Whereas others, just that's the path that they chose to take. I have a friend, her son is graduating high school, and he has decided to join the Air Force. And so she was so excited to talk to me and tell me about it because I've known him. I've known her family for years. They're wonderful people. And I was so proud. I said, thank you for your service. I'm excited. Go show them how to do it. Go show them how to get done. And she was like, that's funny because some people go like, oh my gosh. And the people who were on the call when she told us, we're all supportive of it. We all work in the federal contract space of the world. We deal with the military. We're about national security, kind of thing. So we were all so proud of him, the decision he made. And I love that aspect because I've known other people in my life that feel like military service means, you were broke or you didn't know what to do or like it's a doubt. It's not. It takes a lot to be willing to take that step.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only to step up and step in, but boot camp alone, people. Okay. That's an experience that
it is.
I don't think could be replicated outside of the world it's in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, you get wiped down to zero and you're just like, all right, they do that for a reason though, to build you back up, to build you up with discipline, to know the structure and the ranking systems and how it works so that they can keep things in order when you get into your job and your first duty station.
It's funny because my dad, you could at any point if you needed his attention, you could yell, George, and he would turn around because he was used to it from the military.
For sure.
Didn't matter the circumstances, didn't matter the thing. You could always get him. But one of the things I thought was interesting, you were talking about, how we get raised and we do, because my father was the middle of 3 boys. My mother was the middle of 5 girls. And they had 2 girls. And my dad was an amazing father, like phenomenal. And I would get upset when I would get emotional about something. And I would remember I would be crying and I go, I don't know why I'm crying. And my dad goes, oh, baby, it's because you're a girl and you can't help it. And he was like, he was just so matter of fact that, okay, some stuff just happens. Yeah. And you can fight it and be like all upset that it is, or you can understand that, okay, sometimes it's going to happen and let me figure out how to handle and deal with this, kind of thing to it. And I appreciated that perspective because there is a lot in life where you have to figure out how you're going to handle that situation.
Yeah.
The proactive versus reactive, the you can't control what's going to go wrong. You can control how you handle it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You can't control the storm, but you can control your what am I thinking of? You can't control the storm, but you can control your reaction to it, basically what you said.
Yeah. Oh, no, agreed.
And it's like I said, our kids are super physical and affectionate. My son's like a little bit more emotional than I would like him to be. And my initial reaction is to do like what my dad did to me. Like, hey, freaking wipe those tears. Like, get up. Let's get after it. Don't do that. And I'm like, hey, man, it's okay. Like, talk to me. Like, what are we upset by? What are we hurt by? It's okay. It's okay to cry and let it out. Like, you're going to feel better. So not to suppress his emotions when he is going through something.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge for me.
No, I think that's brilliant. And I think that we need to be able to have that freedom to do it. I will say that I am very similar to my mother in handling a situations. I handle it and then I'll have emotions afterwards.
Got it.
Because the situation has to be handled. You have to get it, and then you can have your thing. My husband said that when we were dealing with stuff with my dad, he said I was a cat because I would be handling a bunch of stuff, and then I'd come home and I'd see him, and I'd just go right into his arms, and he'd just hold me for a bit. And then he said after a bit, all of a sudden, I'd get up, and he was like, cool. He'd let me go, and it's like my recharge that I had, to be able to do everything.
Yeah, I love that. It's a physical touch. It's your love language.
It was I was safe in his arms for the time. Nothing could get me. I could just break down or do whatever I needed to do, and he had me.
Yep.
Boom.
My wife has a rough day. She's like, I need skin on skin. And
there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Come on over.
There you go. It's just, it's one of those things when I travel quite a bit for work, and when I come home, like I can't wait to hug and kiss him. And he's a real estate broker, so he's people have no idea what hours he works because they just figure 24/7. Man, like, and he'll be talking on the phone trying to hug and kiss me while he's doing it because I'm just like, I'm home, Yeah. So interesting. Though it's very cool. We got married later in life. So I met him the day after my 40th birthday.
Okay.
And our 7th wedding anniversary is actually Monday.
Wow.
And so we had lives. We had things we were doing. He actually was a widower when I met him, which was very different from anyone else I dated because she didn't do anything wrong. Unfortunately, she got ill and passed away versus where you have other relationships break up, something happened.
Yeah.
And it was I don't want to say learning experience, but it did help me grow in who I am in that aspect, dating someone who had gone through what he had gone through and done. He's still the kindest, most amazing person you'll ever meet. But, and he's cute. But yeah, it's helped me in how I handle, because I can be very hard is the question. We'll just say the word's hard.
Do you think that hard came from being raised by dad with 2 girls? Hard?
I think it became trying to prove myself.
Got it.
Since I was named Stephanie after my father, Stephen.
Got it. Yeah.
So living up the name.
Yeah.
Was something, and it wasn't anything he put on me. It was something I put on myself.
Yeah.
And it was, it's still something I wear with pride. Stevie is something I picked up with him when we were doing acting. And so he was Stephen Dean, so I was Stevie Dean when I acted.
Wow.
And it's just, I enjoyed the heck out of every second of it, and I wear it with great pride. So
I love that.
Yeah. That's and then it just so happened my husband had a cute last name with Dahl. So now I'm Stevie Dahl.
I'm just now connecting those two. Stevie Dahl. That's a wonderful name. That's a stage name.
Thank you.
Stevie Dahl.
Thank you. I like it. Actually, you were saying you went to LVA. My niece is about to graduate from LVA.
Wow.
Yeah, she's
Love
a
that.
second soprano. Holy cow, that girl can sing.
Yeah, super cool. We've got moms who have kids who go to LVA, and it's amazing to hear the culture is the exact same as it was when I was there 20 plus years ago.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yep, yeah.
We really thought it'd be like Greece. It wasn't like Greece, but that's okay.
I mean, depends. Similar. I mean, it's like I remember just walking through like the parking lot at lunchtime, and you would have like a group of 5 girls practicing choreography by Destiny Child, and then a group of 4 or 5 guys breakdancing on top of their trucks doing NSYNC choreography, and like it was stuff going on. It was very like Grease-like to me in a sense.
I like that though. That's good. I like that. We just thought the whole school would burst into song automatically. They did not, but at least not yet. She's got a couple more months.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us, Omar, and being so candid to talk with us. And you're definitely going to have to come back, my friend.
I'd love to.
So we can talk some more.
Yeah.
So we can keep giving resources to everyone. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your continued service. Thank you for being you. We appreciate you greatly.
Thank you. Grateful to be here.
All right, guys, you know what time it is. We are getting to the end of the episode, so you need to go to Facebook, Instagram, like, check, follow, LinkedIn. We are showing our episodes on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and coming soon, we're going to have a website so you can get your resources quicker. So I thank you all for being here. We can't wait to see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, my friends.
Tickets torn in half.